The O'Reilly Factor from L.A. is on tonight.
But I do want to say to you that in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law.
That statement is flat out untrue, a colossal deception, and one of the reasons the Democratic Party is having so much trouble in America. Tonight, we'll have a special report.
Wasn't that an interesting rollout? Kind of a reality TV rollout? I don't know enough about this man to tell you that I'm going to be applauding him all the way to the finish line.
If the Democrats reject Judge Gorsuch, who seems to be a very competent jurist, what does that say about the country? Lou Dobbs has some thoughts. Also ahead, will Lady Gaga use the Super Bowl halftime show to spout political gibberish? Martha McCallum is investigating. Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone from Southern California. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly reporting from Los Angeles. Thanks for watching us tonight. Is the Democratic Party in serious trouble? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. First of all, we need two vibrant parties in this country. Robust debate and different points of view strengthen the nation. But a big change is taking place. The term loyal opposition in politics is now devolving into just opposition. The loyal has left the building. In President Trump's case, no matter what he does, there are some Democrats who will oppose him, and that is harmful to America. Also, there is deception. Last night, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi held a town hall. The subject of illegal alien violence was raised.
In 2010, one of the illegals slaughtered my son.
I'm so sorry.
He tortured him, he beat him, he tied him up like an animal, and he set him on fire. And I am not a one-story mother. This happens every day because there are no laws enforced at the border.
There's nothing, I'm sure, that can compare to the grief that you have, and so I pray for you. But I do want to say to you that in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law.
That is flat out untrue, a deceit that is outrageous. Congresswoman Pelosi well knows that in San Francisco, her hometown, an illegal alien deported 5 times is now charged with murdering 32-year-old Kate Steinle. That man, 54-year-old Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez, will be put on trial soon. But the verdict on San Francisco itself is in. Guilty of failing to hold Sanchez, even though the feds asked for him to be detained. They let him go. Somebody told Nancy Pelosi. Now, all over the country, Americans are outraged that a beautiful woman like Kate Steinle was gunned down by a foreign felon who had illegally crossed back into this country 6 times. Yet Mrs. Pelosi has the gall to say that in the sanctuary city of San Francisco, our people are not disobeying the law. Did Sanchez disobey the law, Mrs. Pelosi? Again, you told a bold lie, madam. If one of the most high-profile leaders of the Democratic Party is that arrogant, that dishonest, what does that say about the party in general? And Mrs. Pelosi did not stop there, continuing to criticize our economic system.
We're capitalists, and that's just the way it is. However, we do think that capitalism is not necessarily meeting the needs with the income inequality that we have in our country.
So Americans who are not ideological, hearing this kind of stuff, that sanctuary cities are acceptable, that capitalism is not, quote, meeting the needs of our people, they turn away. But the Democratic leadership doesn't seem to understand that, even though they lost the election. In fact, Senator Tim Kaine, who ran with Hillary Clinton but was not a factor in the vote, pretty much disappearing during the campaign, is proud of his party's rebellious stance.
What we've got to do is fight in Congress, fight in the courts, fight in the streets, fight online, fight at the ballot box. And now there's the momentum to be able to do this. And we're not afraid of the popular outcry. We're energized by it, and that's going to help us do our job and do it better.
Senator Kaine says he's not afraid of the popular outcry. Well, he should be. Talking Points wants a strong Democratic Party, as well as a vibrant Republican Party. That's the way our nation functions best. But right now, there's a political civil war that is actually harming the USA. And until politicians stop the deceit and embrace policies that help all Americans, that war will continue. And that's the memo. Now for the top story reaction. Joining us from New York City, Eric Bolling and Geraldo Rivera. So, Geraldo, where am I going wrong?
Well, I think that in terms of the undocumented immigrants and the crimes they commit and whether or not they commit more crimes per capita than citizens do, you and I have had that debate. You've clearly won that debate among our audience. A majority of the voters in a majority of the states thought that undocumented immigrants were an issue so compelling, so profound, they propelled Donald Trump into the White House. But in terms of the Democratic Party, let me just say that in my view, they will be more effective as an opposition than they ever were when they were in power. They were a dysfunctional power player. I think that now in their weakness, and sanctuary cities is a great example. They are not shrinking, they are spreading. Now you have 4 states, California, Rhode Island, Vermont, you have Colorado, you have Washington State, Oregon, you have 39 major cities, all the biggest ones, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Baltimore, etc. You have 364 counties that are sanctuary counties. Why? Because the law enforcement local law enforcement have deemed it necessary that they have the trust of the undocumented immigrants so they can feel free to call 911, to call the cops, call the fire department, and so forth.
All of the places that you named are very liberal precincts.
Yes.
Where politicians depend on the migrant votes to win, the immigrant votes to win.
I disagree with that. I totally disagree with that characterization.
I think the data backs that up, and a guy like Rahm Emanuel and Bill de Blasio, Chicago, New York,
they couldn't win. It is the front line of the culture class. Right now, sanctuary cities will be the front line. It'll be blue against red. It will be the front line in towns and cities and states and universities,
Would you say that Nancy Pelosi uttered an outrageous deceit when she said that last night?
Well, you're talking about Sanchez, a murderer, a pig murderer, but then to smear the 11 million undocumented here, I think that you use this egregious anecdote to make a general point, and I think it's very unfair. But again, I've lost this argument to you. I apologize to our audience. I know I'm out of sync with them.
Nancy Pelosi made a flat-out statement that people in sanctuary cities don't disobey the law, and it's a lie. Is it not, Bolling?
Well, I'm not sure she's saying the people, the illegals there aren't disobeying the law, or she's saying that local law enforcement isn't disobeying the law. Either way, there's a federal law that says, hey, if you're illegal, we're going to deport you.
She said the people.
All right,
she said the people. She didn't say law enforcement.
Well, whatever. With Geraldo saying that the reason why there are more and more sanctuary cities is because local law enforcement wants to use illegals as snitches so that they can solve crimes is ludicrous. The reason why there are more and more is because the reason why that's happening is because there's been no penalty for breaking federal law. Once there will be, if Donald Trump is true to what he says, if you're a sanctuary city, we'll cut off federal funding. Watch how many of these cities or states say, you know what, that sanctuary idea wasn't such a great idea for us here locally.
We'll see. But people ought to know that the sanctuary order from the federal government is, if you have an illegal, undocumented person in jail, you have to inform ICE, Homeland Security. That's it.
I agree.
That's the order.
I agree.
Anything to do with gardeners or chambermaids. The left lies about it, says that the feds and Trump want to round up all these innocent people just working hard. They lie about what the sanctuary is defying. The sanctuary is defying that simple order.
I agree.
If you lock somebody up, you have to inform.
But they have the absolute constitutional and legal right to comply or not comply as they will.
Oh, no,
it is no constitutional right. The First Circuit, the Third Circuit, the Seventh Circuit, the Supreme Court of the United States, the 10th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States all say that immigration is the federal problem. Local and state cannot be commandeered by the federal government to be immigration officers.
It's not commandeered. they have to obey federal law. Bowling gets the last word.
Well, you just said it, Geraldo. If you want to go divert to the Constitution, you knock yourself out. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that someone who is here illegally should have a right to stay. Is there a privilege under some certain sanctuary cities? Perhaps, but that will stop again. I'll go back to the numbers. As soon as the numbers, and they're staggering. Hundreds of millions of dollars, in some cases billions of dollars that could be pulled back from these local municipalities, and watch how fast they cave on sanctuary.
All right, we'll see if Bowling is correct. Gentlemen, thank you. Next on the rundown, California now says it might declare itself a sanctuary state. That'll certainly lead to a showdown with the Trump administration. Then later, Dennis Miller says he has a solution to the big divide in America. Those reports after these messages. Impact segment tonight. California politicians are advancing a bill that would make the entire state a sanctuary for undocumented immigrants. In addition, the city of San Francisco has filed a federal lawsuit against President Trump himself, saying he has no right to withhold federal funding from sanctuary cities. Who's now here in Los Angeles, Dr. John Eastman, the founding director for the Claremont Institute Center for Constitutional Jurisprudence. How do you get that on a business card?
It's hard. It's hard.
Oh, my God. All right, let's take the sanctuary state first. Can a state just declare itself a entity that's not going to obey federal law?
Well, the thing, state officials can't be commandeered by the federal government, but we're talking about what they can be required to do in exchange for getting a lot of money from the federal government. $330 billion a year California and all its cities get. And all of that is risk, because one of the conditions on all of those grants is that you comply with federal law. And federal law is very clear here. No state can tell its officials that they can't cooperate with ICE.
Okay, so technically, California can, according to the Constitution, call itself whatever it wants, but they can lose then $330 billion a year.
Right. Right. It's a lot of money.
It is. And I think the Trump administration would absolutely do that, even though that would cause mass chaos.
Well, even more interesting, there's another federal law that says they're required to do that. That any recipient of a grant that continually flouts federal law,
they have to do it.
They have to do it. They've got to give additional opportunity to come in compliance with the federal law, but at some point they have to say, if you're refusing to comply with federal law, you're not eligible for these grants.
Here's what I don't understand. As I just said to Rivera and Bowling, the pith of this is the federal government wants San Francisco and all the other sanctuary cities to inform them when someone is put into jail behind bars who's undocumented.
Oh, that's right.
That's it.
That's right. And asking for information has been held by the Supreme Court not even to be commandeering, which creates the 10th Amendment problem. Right. We're just giving you information. And this federal law specifically says you can't tell.
You live here. Why wouldn't any municipality cooperate with that? Why?
Well, you would think they would, because we're identifying people who are a real threat to the community. They have become so ideologically hardline left on this question that they don't want the enforcement
behind it.
They just don't want enforcement of our immigration laws. And
no matter, even if you're a criminal.
That's right. Even if you're a criminal,
they don't want it.
That's what led to the Kate Steinle murder.
It certainly did. Now, in the lawsuit from San Francisco against President Trump, they're basically saying that he does not have the constitutional right to withhold money from the city.
Right.
Where does that stand?
Well, it's, again, it's specious, although I'm very encouraged by the fact that all of these officials are now recognizing the importance of the 10th Amendment and states' rights.
Tell us what the 10th Amendment
The 10th Amendment, they forget to read the whole thing. It says any powers not delegated to the national government are reserved to the states or to the people.
Okay.
Well, the power over immigration is clearly delegated to the federal government. The only question here is, can the states be asked to provide information to help the federal government? And can they be compelled to do so in exchange for money as a condition on the money? And there's no question that the federal government can make that a condition on federal money.
Okay. So if you're right, and that's how the courts rule, because you're going to get some judges that say you're wrong.
Right.
You know that.
That's right.
Ideological judges, and so it'll wind its way through the court. But the San Francisco people are saying, well, the president doesn't have the power to withhold federal money. Does that have any basis at all?
No. In fact, there's a federal statute, I'm drawing a blank on the number right now, but specifically says federal grants have to be given when you acknowledge the receipt of a grant that you agree to comply with federal law. And so all of these grant recipients are putting their grants at risk and creating the potential that they will be rendered ineligible for future grants if they don't come into compliance with federal law.
No, I find it interesting, and I didn't know this until you just said it, that the Trump administration is compelled by federal law to punish the sanctuary cities, or if they do decide in California to become a sanctuary state, they have to punish them. They have to withdraw the money.
That's right. The federal law says the president shall, or the administrative agency shall, ensure compliance with federal law, add new conditions on the money to try and bring them into compliance. But if they continue to refuse, at some point to declare them ineligible for those federal grants.
Okay. Now, if Senator Sessions gets confirmed Attorney General, he's going to be fairly aggressive, I think, in enforcing all of these things.
I think so as well. And what you said earlier about, finding some lower court judge that's going to say this is unconstitutional, for many ideological judges, unconstitutional is anything they don't like.
Yes, of course.
But I think when it gets to the Supreme Court, and a full complement of the Supreme Court with Neil Gorsuch as the new Associate Justice, I think we'll find at least 5-4 and hopefully larger majority of the court to say what the president is doing here is perfectly okay.
Thank you, Doctor, for coming in.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Directly ahead, Dennis Kucinich says President Obama is responsible for the refugee problem. Wow. And Lou Dobbs has some thoughts on how the president rolled out that refugee executive order. Also, is the NFL worried about Lady Gaga spouting political stuff during his Super Bowl halftime show? Up ahead. Personal Story segment tonight, as we've been reporting, there would not be a refugee crisis in the Middle East and Europe if President Obama and the West had dealt with Iraq and Syria in a responsible way. Now, yesterday on Fox News, Dennis Kucinich, very liberal guy, said this.
Let's face something here. Donald Trump didn't create these wars. Wars create refugees, and President Obama, both in Syria and in Lebanon, has backed conflicts which have created refugees. So that's something that if he's involved in the debate, he should have to answer that.
Mr. Kucinich joins us now from Cleveland. So we both agree that President Obama is partially responsible for the refugee chaos, but you're coming at it from a different point of view than I am. So just explain your point of view for us.
Well, I'm opposed to U.S. interventionism. It cost our nation dearly, $6 trillion since 9/11. We have a right to defend ourselves, but look, Iraq, that was President Bush's watch, created an enormous amount of refugees. Libya and Syria created a lot of refugees. That was President Obama's watch. If you don't have wars, you don't create refugees. So, there has to be some responsibility that has to be taken by the president.
See, I see it a little bit differently, because in Syria, which is ground zero for the refugee problem, and that's the country that President Trump has said, we're not going to take any refugees until we can figure out a better vetting system. There, we didn't really do anything. We didn't intervene. We let Assad, the butcher, kill his people, which created a refugee situation all its own. We had nothing to do with that. Am I wrong?
Bill, I hate to say this, but you're wrong, because the U.S. has been involved in covert action and working with Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar in financing jihadists who've come from maybe 100 different countries into Syria to try to knock off the Syrian government and establish a caliphate.
All right, so you're saying that covert action against Assad, but that's a small part of it. Assad would have murdered these people anyway. Because they don't like him.
No,
they would. Oh, come on. They don't like him.
I'm not defending Assad. You've got to look at Syria as a pluralist society. The Assad regime has opponents. I've talked to the opponents. They don't want people coming in from outside Syria to try to upend their country. No more than we in America want China coming in.
Maybe true, but there still would be refugees because of the civil war in that country. Now, when you say you don't want Americans abroad, you have more in common with Trump than you do Obama, because Trump, he doesn't want to go into these countries. He's made that quite clear.
Well, right, go ahead.
In the suspension of the travel to the United States, what the president is clearly saying, if anybody wants to pay attention, is that these states mentioned, Syria, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, on and on, they don't have any central authority, so anybody can get on a plane and be in Kennedy Airport in 10 hours. And we have to figure out how to vet this, because their governments are all collapsed. That's not an unreasonable position, is it?
Well, you know what? I carry this pocket constitution, and the First Amendment says no religious test. That holds our society together.
It's not a religious test. It's a national test on these countries. Not religion.
It's a ban on Muslims.
If you're Jewish or Christian in those countries, you can't come here either.
Well, you know, this is we got to call it what it is. It's a ban on Muslims. America's never had a religious test.
It's not a ban on Muslims. If you're a Libyan Christian, you can't come here. You know that's true.
Well, you know, there's been some interpretation that said Christians can come in.
No,
fine,
there isn't.
We shouldn't have a religious test, and that's, Bill.
But we don't have a religious test.
This is my Bible. I go by the Constitution. No religious test, and that's a religious test.
You know I like you. This is where you go off the rails. This is where you go off the rails. I present the facts that people in those countries, no matter what religion they are, cannot come here temporarily. And then you pull out your Constitution and totally distort what the order is.
No.
That's going off the rails.
Bill, that is like a compliment for you to tell me that I'm distorting things. I just want to say, Bill O'Reilly, no religious test, period. Now, as far as who created these wars, Donald Trump didn't create the wars. That's pretty obvious.
Okay. All right, Dennis, thanks very much. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. Miller says he has a solution to our divided country. He'll tell us what it is. Then Martha McCallum looking into the possibility that Lady Gaga may turn the Super Bowl halftime show into a political circus. But next, Lou Dobbs on whether President Trump could have handled the refugee announcement differently. We hope you stay tuned for those reports. Unresolved problem segment tonight. The far left still hysterical over the presidential executive order that stops some refugees from coming here, at least on a temporary basis.
Any law that is divorced from justice, it's not a law, it's an instrument of tyranny. This is a government-sanctioned religious persecution, and it will not keep America safe. It's not about national security. This is about white supremacists.
Sure it is. Joining us now from New York City, Lou Dobbs. So, sane people, and doesn't include some of the critics, know that the overreaction to the executive order is a bit crazy. I mean, I can understand some people opposing it, but, you know, to go all of this for a temporary order that basically says we need to redo our security mechanism so that people in Somalia who come here unattended, there's no government in Somalia, we have a mechanism to know who they are. I mean, that's a legitimate point of view. However, the way that President Trump handled the rollout gave his enemies a lot of ammunition, did it not?
It gave them ammunition, but I really believe, Bill, that no matter what he did, it would be looked upon as giving them ammunition.
Let's stay on what he did.
Sure.
Friday afternoon, okay, no nobody out explaining it before it happened.
Right.
Nobody available after it happened. Just plunked it.
I think the administration, though, Bill, has a perfectly good reason for not having done a broad consensus-building, program. They wanted not to announce it specifically so that they would not be inviting in terrorists and those who wanted to come to this country, knowing full well that there would be an extreme vetting program put in place by this administration.
I understand
choice.
That's the explanation.
Right.
But it would have been hard for terrorists to, within a few hours, get on a plane to come to New York. Possible.
Right.
But the way they did it, the Trump administration, was they just jammed it out there. They didn't explain it as it came out, and they did it on a Friday, and they gave the anti-Trump people so much propaganda to demonize him in the order, didn't they?
I would say this to you. The anti-Trump people are precisely the same people tonight as they were Thursday before the order went into effect. The attempt to propagandize has been going nonstop since it became clear that this was that Donald Trump was a very successful and likely victorious presidential candidate. from the time he was elected. I mean, we only see his enemies mount within the ideological left. I mean, you've got Elizabeth Warren with a bullhorn at the airport cheering on folks. You've got these mindless George Soros-funded demonstrations.
You can diffuse some of that. Although I have to say, I saw a Reuters poll where the president is actually, and I predicted this would happen, gaining in popularity after this refugee order. But I'm always to the fact that if you're going to do something and you really firmly believe it, put it out the best way you can. And put it out with full explanation.
Administratively,
have Lou Dobbs explain it on his show, and millions are watching him, and all that.
I think that's a terrific idea, except for the part where I don't believe Donald Trump, as President of the United States, should be involved in the administration of a program at this level. He issues orders, others implement it. This administration is...
But it's his responsibility
of course it is.
to put America
and he is proud of what he's done here. And the American people feel safer as a result.
Too.
Well, think about this. I mean, Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the UK, is before Parliament with a screed excoriating Donald Trump, with whom she has just had an entirely successful meeting over this extreme vetting order interfering in U.S. politics. I mean, who are these people, and since when do
I'm
we
not
entitle
justifying
them?
the people.
Right.
I just think it's better for America, all right, if all of our policies are clearly explained as they happen.
If you will see if you would accept just this element if you will, complement to what you're thinking, and that is that for the first time we have a president who is making it absolutely clear to the entire world, whether they like it or not, that we're going to take our sovereignty seriously, the safety of our people seriously, and the security of the nation will be the president's primary policy and purpose. I think he has succeeded in that. The left wants to call it a botch. I consider it a notice.
All right. Lou Dobbs, everyone, thank you. One footnote. The Contributing Factor podcast, starring Robert Samuel, is something you want to check out. It's all about Judge Gorsuch tonight, and you can hear it on BillO'Reilly.com or iTunes. We come right back from L.A. Dennis Miller has been thinking about how to heal holistically the big political divide in America. Then Martha McCallum on Lady Gaga possibly creating chaos at the Super Bowl halftime show. Right back from California.
The #1 cable news show for 16 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Miller Time segment. Let's get right to the sage of Southern California, who's in Southern California this evening. Here we are, Miller.
Billy, what a beautiful room you're staying in. Bill actually sleeps right here in the room. Right. You can see he brought his good luck elephant bong out from back east.
It's not a bong. It's kind of a Thailand.
Hard copy, first editions of Killing Everybody and His Mother. Beautiful, Billy. Beautiful.
All right, so now I know you're a deep thinker, Miller. Most people think you're a shallow showbiz guy, but that's not true. You're a deep thinker. And you know we have this divide in America, and you've come up with a way to solve it,
I do my part. I do my part. It's appropriate you're here in L.A. because the red and the blue states are now probably as balkanized as the Crips and the Bloods, quite frankly. It's gotten pretty nasty. But it hasn't gotten violent. It's not near a civil war. But you have to admit, it's probably the most pronounced I've seen it in my lifetime. Right. And I was thinking, well, we don't really hate each other. Some people do, but I think most people, and we all have people we love or good friends on the other side of this discourse. I think that it's just like we can still be friends, but we can't live together anymore. So I came up with an idea for the country to break up. And I got this from the great scholar, the Pliny the Elder of the modern masses, Gwyneth Paltrow. When her and her husband Chris Martin from Coldplay broke up, they called it a conscious uncoupling. Mm-hmm. And I think it might be time for a conscious uncoupling. Now, I put together some artwork, Billy. Right. It might be time to, pick albums, Who Gets the Dog, and split up. I think we need 2 border walls. I think that there's a West Coast and an East Coast, and then there's in the middle. I would make that country on the left, you see, California, Washington, and Oregon, and then open it up to Mexico, too. Let them max out and call it Mexico. You've got that country over there. Then up on the right-hand side, you have the bubble. That's where all the Northeast corridor, where all the intellectuals live. Call that the bubble. Then you might want to put something around Chicago, maybe a little mini wall there. But underneath, I was listening to Elon Musk, the Tesla guy this week. Smart guy. He said he thinks we should start making the infrastructure tunnels. And I thought, why not build an Arnold Schwarzenegger Running Man pneumatic tube that shoots between the two coasts so people can go back and forth and exist in Mexico or the bubble and just go underneath. You stop in Chicago like the old 20th Century Limited, get yourself a steak at the pump room, and then you connect to your part of the country. Then you and I, no, maybe not you, I can't speak for you, you're fair and balanced, but the rest of us are in the middle in a place called Norman Rockwellvania, where it's like the old world.
But you'd have to leave beautiful Santa Barbara.
Oh, somehow I'd pry myself out. That would be one of the things that everybody would have to pick where they want to go.
Yeah,
and let the other countries do their thing.
Right.
And then Mexico could be back part of the United States.
I'd have to leave Long Island. I'd have to go
really?
West
This is the
Virginia.
most self-revelatory you've ever been about your politics.
I don't know if I'd have to leave, but if I'm there, if I stay on Long Island in the bubble country, they're going to kill me.
Yeah,
They'll hang me.
But this would be beautiful because they would get to raise taxes the way they want, spend the way they want. We could have easy visa things where people could go across the borders to visit. You know, don't make it like the Brandenburg Gate. Make it easy. A day visit.
Okay.
You go see your loved ones and things like that.
In Pennsylvania.
And everybody just splits up and then we all mellow out.
The liberal precincts, though, are much smaller than the traditional precincts.
They don't want anything to do with us. They hate us. They think we're rubes. They think we're idiots. I'm doing this out of a loving gesture. Let's split up before it gets really vile.
But do you think that the Mexifornia, is that it, Mexifornia?
It's called Mexico.
Mexico.
We max out Mexico.
Okay.
Mexico.
Now, would they be able to survive, though? Or would
Really, it'd be better. Everybody, every day I hear people say, no, we shouldn't have a border. It'll be good for us. And I think maybe they're right. Maybe
So
they're
let them
right.
not have a border.
Washington, Oregon, you get an idiot like Jim McDermott's in charge. He would love Mexico.
Okay, but there'd be a huge wall between Washington and Idaho and Nevada and California.
Infrastructure.
All right.
And then,
a lot of
here's
jobs,
the thing,
right?
like behind the home plate at Chase Stadium, we sell signage on the walls. We make a buck off it. Everybody wets their beak.
Who would be president of the bubble?
Well, in Norman Rockwellvania right now, it would be Trump. But out on the bubble in Mexico, it could still be Obama because they love him. And everybody would be happy.
Or Nancy Pelosi.
And then the best football team in Mexico plays the best football team in Norman Rockwellvania. Boom, we have a true Super Bowl.
Dennis Miller, everybody, a reminder.
I'm here all week. Hey, Billy, by the way, did you see the Bud commercial that they're running, huh?
Martha's
going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to this, folks. Take a Bud Light and go to any one of the 7 countries on that immigrant list and crack it open on the main drag. Then when you eventually track down your head that they've scimitaared off, give a sip of the Bud Light to the head.
All right, Bill, you got to shut up now.
All right.
Got to go to commercial. Miller's going to be in Waukegan, Illinois, March 23rd, by the way, if you want to check him out. Martha MacCallum is mentioned on deck. We'll show you that very controversial Bud ad. It's going to play during the Super Bowl. Also, Lady Gaga may cause some trouble at halftime. Right back. The book segment tonight, did you see that? One of the big Super Bowl commercials will be a Budweiser deal with an immigration theme.
You don't look like you're from around here. Warum bist du aus Deutschland?
I want to brew a beer.
Welcome to America. You're not wanted here. Go back home.
Beer for my friend, please.
Thank you. But next time, this is the beer we drink.
Eberhard Leinheiser. Dolphus Bush.
Joining us now from New York City, Martha MacCallum. So Budweiser spending a lot of money. What is it, like $2 million for a 30-second spot?
Yeah, they spent $12 to $14 million to make the ad, and it's $5.5 million for 30 seconds. So they've got a huge investment here, Bill.
$20 million investment. Do they expect controversy over that?
Yeah, I think they're going to get it. I don't know if they expected it when they started. I think they were putting together sort of an American dream story of Adolphus Busch, which is a very interesting story. He built one of the best American brands in the country. But it sort of simultaneously happened with all the issues that were cropping up around the country. They put this ad, they wrote it by Thanksgiving, and they shot the whole thing by January, but ironically they delivered it on January 27th, which was the exact same day that this pause or travel ban, whatever you want to call it, was announced by President Trump.
Well, I think it's an effective ad. Get people talking. That's what Budweiser wants. Yeah, I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't know Adolphus Busch. I don't know what happened to him. But if it is true, I think it's legitimate.
You know, I think it's beautifully shot. It does evoke the American dream, generations of immigrants that have come to this country. And, you know, I think you can make arguments on both sides in terms of the process for coming to this country and, you know, building your own company here. But a lot of people are going to look at this and say, see, you know, he's being abused. He's walking through the streets and people are telling him he doesn't belong here, exactly like what's happening now.
That message is in there on purpose. I wonder what happened to Harry Budweiser. Do we know where Harry came from? I think he might have been from Paraguay.
I don't know that there was a Harry Budweiser, but there, you know, the Anheisers and the Bushes got together, and and the family owned the company till 2008. It's now owned by InBev, so they've taken this opportunity to talk about Adolphus Busch, who came over from Belgium, actually. But you know, they don't own the company anymore.
All right. Well, you know, look, more power to them. I like ads that are thought-provoking, and this certainly is.
Absolutely.
All right, now talk about thought-provoking. Lady Gaga, one of the great political scientists of our era, is performing at halftime. And the NFL, you know, she could do or say any political stuff as she had in the past. Roll the tape.
You have endorsed Hillary Clinton. I mean, what is it you think that she is going to do for the USA that he will not?
I think she will do a good job. Some people want to win races. Other people want to be president of the United States.
So profound. So is the National Football League, are they worried that Lady Gaga is going to get up there between songs and say something
Bill, I mean,
nasty?
they know where she's coming from. If they were really worried, they wouldn't have chosen Lady Gaga. Just like with the ad, they love the controversy. They want everybody to tune in. There's been this whole back and forth. You know, did they sort of give Lady Gaga a gag order, so to speak, on politics? They say, no, we didn't do that. She's a performer. And they say, we know that everyone we work with understands this is a moment for families across America. Well, that idea sort of, you know, went out the window with Janet Jackson and with Beyonce's Black Panther appearance last time. You know, if they really wanted to do that, they would go back to the Paul McCartney non-controversial performance, but clearly they're stoking the fire here, and I think there's no way that Lady Gaga doesn't make some kind of political statement during this appearance.
So Martha MacCallum is betting everyone that Lady Gaga is going to use her worldwide platform to inject politics into the Super Bowl halftime show. You're betting that she's going to do that.
I mean, do you really think that's a risky bet, Bill? I mean, why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she take that moment to do that?
Well, maybe she'll say to herself, gee, you know, I know people who want to be entertained, and I'm not going to offend anybody.
It's a family show and all that.
She's
always, that's pretty much always the thing that's foremost in her mind when she goes out to perform, I think.
Now, you don't think that she would sit down perhaps and think about maybe what the downside is of imposing her wacky view of the world on everybody?
No, I don't. I really don't. Let me pause for a moment and think about it.
MacCallum.
Maybe a profound statement like she did. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think if she does say anything political, that, you know, some of the former NFL guys like Ray Lewis should come and sack her right on the stage there. That's what I'd love.
That would be a first. That would be an interesting part of the performance. I would stick around for that.
All right. Martha MacCallum, everybody. Fact and tip of the day. I need your help regarding my upcoming Super Bowl interview with President Trump. The tip, moments away. Tip of the day, what would you like to ask President Trump? In a moment. But first, the mail. Alex Hyman, New York City. Bill, your oversimplification of conservative versus liberal jurisprudence and bumbling analysis of the Gorsuch appointment shows you are clueless. Kindly do your viewers a service and invite a first-year law student on your program. Reggie Berneman, Glen Mora, Louisiana. Bill, when you read Senator Schumer's statement attacking Judge Gorsuch, you were right. He had the statement written before the announcement was made. Randy Davis, British Columbia, Canada. O'Reilly, you say you hang on to a crowd hammer because the Factor's not a parrot show and you want to hear all sides. I know you will disagree, but are there any Trump supporters among your regulars? Are you kidding me, Randy? Is there sound on your TV up there in British Columbia? Dobbs, Bowling, Lisa Booth, Bernard McGurk, just to name a few. Rick Maldonado, Salinas, California. Bill, you said anyone on American soil is under the protection of the Constitution. Does that include illegal immigrants? It does, Rick. Anyone is anyone. Doug Shield, Newcastle upon Tyne, England. Bill, it's not just you. Most sane people here in the UK believe the edict about not using the term expectant mother is an insane piece of PC madness. Ruth Windsor, Scarborough, England. Bill, it is perplexing to see every BBC, Sky, and CNN international broadcast sowing anti-Trump seeds. I appreciate you and your team providing balance and truth. And we appreciate your watching, Ruth. Victor Solar, Lubbock, Texas. O'Reilly, can't wait to read your new book, Old School Life in the Safe Lane. It'll be a valuable tool to fight the madness. One correction, Victor, it's Old School Life in the Sane Lane. It'll be out March 28th. Isabel DeLucia, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Mr. O, I'm 13, read Killing the Rising Sun and 2 other killing books. They're the best books I have ever read. That's so nice of you, Isabel. Thanks much for reading my books, and I hope it helps you in school in history and social studies. Flying Time Factor tip of the day, as you may know, I will be interviewing President Trump during the Super Bowl pregame show about 4 p.m. Eastern Time this coming Sunday. Now, this is the 3rd time I've done a presidential interview before the Super Bowl. And I always ask you guys to send me some questions that you would ask the president if you had the opportunity. And I use some of them. So, we'll give you the address in a moment. It's always good to help people out. I need help. So I hope you give me some suggestions. Factor tip of the day. And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, differentfrombillO'Reilly.com. And here's the address to send me your questions you'd like to ask Mr. Trump. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name and town. If you wish to opine, you got to put your name and town on the questions. What do not be doltish when writing to the Factor. Tomorrow, Bernie Goldberg will give me some suggestions on that interview as well. Again, thanks for watching us tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly reporting from L.A. Please remember that the spin stops here. So we're definitely looking out for you. The O'Reilly Factor from L.A. is on tonight.
But I do want to say to you that in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law.
That statement is flat out untrue, a colossal deception. And one of the reasons the Democratic Party is having so much trouble in America. Tonight, we'll have a special report.
Wasn't that an interesting rollout? Kind of a reality TV rollout? I don't know enough about this man to tell you that I'm going to be applauding him all the way to the finish line.
If the Democrats reject Judge Gorsuch, who seems to be a very competent jurist, what does that say about the country? Lou Dobbs has some thoughts. Also ahead, will Lady Gaga use the Super Bowl halftime show to spout political gibberish? Martha McCallum is investigating. Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone from Southern California. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly reporting from Los Angeles. Thanks for watching us tonight. Is the Democratic Party in serious trouble? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. First of all, we need 2 vibrant parties in this country. Robust debate and different points of view strengthen the nation. But a big change is taking place. The term loyal opposition in politics is now devolving into just opposition. The loyal has left the building. In President Trump's case, no matter what he does, there are some Democrats who will oppose him, and that is harmful to America. Also, there is deception. Last night, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi held a town hall. The subject of illegal alien violence was raised.
In 2010, one of the illegals slaughtered my son.
I'm so sorry.
He tortured him. He beat him. He tied him up like an animal. And he set him on fire. And I am not a one-story mother. This happens every day because there are no laws enforced at the border.
There's nothing, I'm sure, that can compare to the grief that you have, and so I pray for you. But I do want to say to you that in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law.
That is flat out untrue. A deceit that is outrageous. Congresswoman Pelosi well knows that in San Francisco, her hometown, an illegal alien deported 5 times is now charged with murdering 32-year-old Kate Steinle. That man, 54-year-old Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez, will be put on trial soon. But the verdict on San Francisco itself is in. Guilty of failing to hold Sanchez, even though the feds asked for him to be detained. They let him go. Somebody tell Nancy Pelosi. Now, all over the country, Americans are outraged that a beautiful woman like Kate Steinle was gunned down by a foreign felon who had illegally crossed back into this country 6 times. Yet Mrs. Pelosi has the gall to say that in the sanctuary city of San Francisco, our people are not disobeying the law. Did Sanchez disobey the law, Mrs. Pelosi? Again, you told a bold lie, madam. If one of the most high-profile leaders of the Democratic Party is that arrogant, that dishonest, what does that say about the party in general? And Mrs. Pelosi did not stop there, continuing to criticize our economic system.
We're capitalist, and that's just the way it is. However, we do think that capitalism is not necessarily meeting the needs with the income inequality that we have in our country.
So Americans who are not ideological, hearing this